Hello there. Unless Boris Johnson blinks today, we are just over 11 weeks away from the NHS totally imploding. There is no way round it. With about 100,000 non-compliant staff on the books, unless Boris Johnson and Sajid Javid pull back from imposing their new requirements on NHS workers, it's goodnight Vienna. And be in no doubt, it will affect all of us, from the big city hospitals to the little cottage hospitals to your local surgery. And don't forget the NHS dentists and their staff either. If you think things are bad now, just you wait and see. We risk seeing healthcare becoming a very, very expensive service in taxpayer terms that no one can access. Getting the care you need will become infinitely more difficult. Unless you are wealthy enough to be able to go private whenever you wish. But for the rest of us, already we've seen the Health Secretary Sajid Javid coolly and calmly confronted by a doctor on TV about this. And don't tell me the nurses that were there with him are at all comfortable about where these new staff requirements are concerned. You only had to see their reactions to note that they were not exactly applauding Javid's dodgy policy processes. And last night on GB News, Colin Brazier, and all the listeners too probably, were surprised by the quiet determination of a doctor he had on his show, who was also extremely unhappy with how this is developing, to the point she too risks losing the career she loves on April the 1st. And she said that there are about 90,000 people who think like she does in the NHS workforce right now. And these people are healthcare professionals at the centre of keeping the heart of the NHS beating over the last 18 to 24 months. They are not fringe lunatics, as some might want to portray them. You only had to watch and listen to them to see how lucid and clear their arguments and views are. And right now we risk losing such people because of these new staffing requirements, to have to accept a medical intervention or lose their jobs. Now this is a real thing, not some minor staffing issue that will magically go away or has no repercussions. Unless the rules are removed today, it threatens to cripple the NHS. And my question is, has the NHS bureaucracy done a damage assessment of this? Do they know the actual numbers of staff they will lose, and do they know exactly which parts of the professions will be hardest hit, and where in the country that will be? Will we have sufficient numbers of midwives and paediatricians, for example? How about oncologists and radiographers, nurses and porters? And can we continue to staff an A&E service that is already on its knees? Or will we keep pouring all available personnel into the only thing that seems to matter at present? Ampule delivery, where staff get 15 to 30 quid a shot. Now it takes many hundreds of thousands of pounds over many years to train each of these people, probably millions when you consider hospital consultants. And all that investment and expertise will be flushed down the toilet, if this government is allowed to continue with this criminal act. And as I said, this process could start in just over 11 weeks' time. And as the requirement is now a 3-part process, one wonders if they haven't gone through the first stage already, will any of the 100 or 1,000 or so affected staff be available, even if they started with stage 1 today? And one also assumes that all NHS staff will be required to sign a form beforehand, or even a whole new employment contract that says they not only comply completely willingly, but also ensures their total future compliance with any new requirements imposed on them, however questionable any of those new requirements might be. And that in itself would be highly questionable. This government must be made to blink. It must be made to accept it has gone a step, in fact several steps, too far, and rescind these abominable orders. 3 weeks to flatten the curve has become 18 months from being clapped to being sacked. And all the while there's a steady drip, drip, drip of stories coming out about how the great and good who hand out the orders and rules ignore those same diktats themselves in a manner that makes you think they are arrogantly dismissive of any risks to themselves, like they know something that we don't or aren't allowed to know. And one aspect of all this that gets overlooked is that we are in danger of losing many people with personal ethics from our healthcare system, and possibly replacing them with people more interested in blindly accepting what they're told and simply getting paid. Doesn't that worry you? And last night the doctor on Colin Brazier's programme laid out exactly why it was wrong in her eyes to so blindly and unquestioningly just accept the medical intervention to keep her job. A stance that does stand up to scrutiny, unless you are some sort of zealot, of course. Now I'm assuming, although assumption is the mother of all f***s, I'm assuming that our health department is trawling its retirees to get as many as possible back onto the books, as well as filling ads overseas so as to import all those doctors and nurses that other countries obviously don't need or want. Yeah, I know, doctors and nurses are in short supply across the planet, so every country will want to keep theirs. But we can open our big, fat, imperialistic NHS diversity checkbook again, can't we? And leave other countries denuded of healthcare professionals to look after their children and old people, while we sack non-compliant staff here, knowing that the staff we ditch here can't travel abroad to work without taking that which they refuse to take. Now, many politicians will be hoping that these non-compliant NHS staff will quietly fold as the 1st of April approaches, just leaving a few outliers that only result in very small holes in the overall service. But I would think that would already have happened had the strength of feeling not been so high. The truth is that many of these people could well have deeper feelings about this than shallow-thinking politicians with even shallower morals actually realise. Maybe our politicians just can't conceive of people who value their own personal ethics so highly. And another thought crosses my mind. I've seen no mention of extra bonuses for staff when they accept the medical intervention. But I bet you it has been discussed, and may be being held in reserve to deal with the more hardened refuseniks as April the 1st approaches. Although if they did that now, it would look desperate, and all NHS and care home staff would, of course, demand the same payment. At the moment, all I can see is a massive NHS train wreck hurtling down the tracks at us. And nothing that Sajid, Javid or Boris Johnson has said or done so far fills me with any confidence that this well-telegraphed catastrophe is not going to occur. Either our ministers have completely misread the room, or it looks like they want a collapse to happen. So do you think the government should blink or stand firm on this? Please like and comment below. Please subscribe and like this video, buy a mug and support me on Patreon or PayPal, and thank you for watching.